Life. Life. That's the only good explanation I have for why this video has taken so long to come out, guys. I'm so extremely sorry. I think it's been at least a week since the last video came out. I hate having breaks like that. Normally I want to come out with at least 2, 3, 4 videos a week, but quality over quantity, and when you have so many things going wrong with your projects and life happens, sometimes you gotta slow down a little bit and make sure all your videos, all your content is all put together and your ducks are in a row and you can make some really good videos. So I thank you guys so much for your patience in waiting for this episode with the Daily Cruiser. Just be sure to stay tuned for the end of this one, guys, and hopefully you guys find it entertaining, and maybe it'll help a few of you guys out that are in the same jam as me. Anyways, again, guys, thank you so much for being patient, and without further ado, let's get into this episode. If you guys are looking, you probably noticed that something happened. If you say it's that my exhaust is hanging, you're right. My bad luck comes back to bring us to a grinding halt. Put the bolt in and it was slightly like cross-threading or something.
It's a beat by Flow.
Guys, it's literally 6 degrees out. Flat tire. Well, the trunk was frozen shut, so that took me a little bit to get it open. The tire's like completely off the bead, which is crazy, but yeah. Oh yeah, and the bearing on the jack completely destroyed itself, so that was like even harder. Yeah, we're almost. Alright guys, spare is a little soft, but we did it. This will get me a few miles, hopefully.
One eternity later.
What a perfect time to give you guys a DTS update. It was like 6 degrees out yesterday morning, was it? No, 2 days ago, when those last couple cell phone clips were filmed, and got a flat tire out of nowhere. The tire went completely off the bead. It was so cold out. Ow, I just stubbed my toe. But thankfully, I was already dressed up because I was gonna go plow some snow downtown. I was already like in my snow pants and everything, so couldn't have happened at a better time because normally all I wear is a sweatshirt because I'm just a rebel like that. We got 2 new tires we're gonna be putting on it today. This one just completely came off the bead. I kind of looked at it a little bit and I don't see what could have punctured it. Something must have, and then when I turned the corner it just rolled off the bead. So that kind of sucks. There was a little bit of life left in that tire, but it was worn a little unevenly. This tire is worn really bad, and as you can see, like on this edge it's worn super bad. The car actually needs an alignment desperately, but just kind of been waiting to get new tires before we get that done. So now we're gonna make that happen today.
2 hours later.
All right, my main task for today has been completed. The tires are done. I just went ahead and picked them up really quick. Here are brand new Firestone All Seasons. The car had, I think, Firestone FR 710, I think, on them before, and it still has them in the rear, but they don't make those anymore. The closest they made was the All Season. So I went ahead and grabbed a set of them for this car. These are really nice tires, and they're gonna be a lot better than what's on there, that's for sure. All right. It is time for an update on the ballast struggle. These cars have HID xenon headlights from the factory. They're really awesome, but especially when they get to be this age, they're known to have issues with the bulbs and the ballast, of course. Made a video a while ago of me replacing the ballast and everything, and also converting the fog lights to LEDs so that they match the color rating and everything, and the headlights were looking really, really mint. But what got me started on all that was the headlights were having a flashing issue, which usually means the bulb where the ballast is going bad. But then I noticed it was still flickering a little bit, and then after a little bit longer, one of these headlights started going out. It's just gotten really bad, so I went ahead and got new ballast for it. So I had to take everything apart again to throw new ballast in it. But the new ballast that I got for them, they were a Bosch brand, and I went online and I put in like the make, the model, the submodel, everything, and everything matched up, and they sent them out. But I don't know what it was about them, but they were slightly different, and I could not get the high beams to come on for either light, either ballast. Swapped out to the old ballast, and the high beams came on perfectly fine. But somehow the ballast must control the high beam somehow, because it's a gated high beam apparently. So basically the bulb is on the same all the time, but for the low beams a gate comes down and closes off some of the light, and then when you turn the high beams on, the gate opens up and shines the whole light. So you would think that that would have nothing to do with the ballast, but apparently it does. Now we know. This is one of the old ballasts. Got a brand new ballast right here that actually matched the part number. I went and actually took these apart again and looked at the part number and verified that part number before I went ahead and ordered these, so that we should be 100% good to go. All right, time for a test run. Well, they turned on. Oh, I hear it. Let me see. I can see the reflection in the window. It's finally working. They have been like this and been acting stupid for a really long time now, so it's awesome to finally be able to get this done and get the new tires on it and everything. So now, I just gotta go ahead and finish everything up. There we go. Just like that, everything is put back together. The lights are working perfectly, and I'm so excited. I went ahead and rotated the tires, put the new tires on the rear, and put the current FR710s on the front. They're a little bit more chunky, and those ones have plenty of tread left, so they're gonna go ahead and stay on the front for the rest of winter.
It's a beat by Flow.
Alright guys, so this is it. This is the big repair that I've been talking about that this car needs. It needs the fuel pump and everything to be redone. The first thing that I noticed with this car that kind of tipped me off to that was the fact that it seemed to be running a little bit lean. This car does it seems a little bit underpowered compared to other NA Cruisers, especially after driving the Flip Cruiser. That car just feels a little bit more healthy when you drive it. And I pulled some of the plugs out, and I'll show some footage right now, but they looked really, really white, which is usually a sign of the car running lean. Since the, I think this is the number 4 cylinder spark plug is the easiest to get at, that's the one I'm pulling out for you guys. And as you can hopefully see in my terrible lighting, you can hopefully see there, that's some whiteness. That is some, yeah. I only pulled the one out for that footage, but all the other ones look pretty similar. They don't look very healthy. The plugs look really bad in this car. So that's safe to assume. I would like to hook up some sort of fuel pressure gauge somehow, but I couldn't figure out if there was any sort of like Schrader valve or something like on the fuel rail where I could plug one in or anything. I know a big question a lot of people have is something that I wondered as well that I have verified is that no, there's no inline fuel filter of any sort that I could check to see if there's any debris in it or anything, because it's highly possible, especially a car this old, that, you know, the fuel filter is a little bit clogged up for whatever reason. So that's not something we can check and rule out, which kind of sucks because the only filtering that goes on is within the pump itself and within like the sending unit itself. So kind of sucks because, you know, can't just check a fuel filter. But final straw that convinced me that I really just need to take that apart, swap that out, and make sure that's good to go is a couple weeks ago, I actually noticed, and thankfully I caught it just in time, but I noticed that my gas gauge wasn't working. It read completely full, and I was thinking, I went to leave the house and I looked at my gas gauge and it was full, and I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense because I do not remember filling it, at least not recently. I'm the type of person this time of year where when I see $20 and it's cold out and I'm freezing standing by the pump, I say screw it, and I just stop then, and I never actually completely fill it. So the fact that it read completely full, I don't know, just something seemed weird. So I went ahead and pulled up to the gas pump, and well, here's that footage. Okay, I can't remember the last time I filled this car up with gas, but it's showing full. And we've been driving for a little bit, so I'm a little bit suspicious. So we are at the gas station. I'm gonna fill this thing and see how much it takes. I hope my gas gauge isn't broken, because that would suck. Okay. Just took 12.8 gallons. It's like a 14-gallon tank. Oh my god, that's a problem. Yeah. That was close. I've been driving like that for the last couple weeks. It's kind of a pain, but I've been keeping track of my mileage, and right now the car's like almost empty, according to my calculations. It's a little scary in getting the car emptied out without having a gas gauge to tell me how low I am, but I can tell the car must be pretty low. I also got a weird check engine light. I'll flash a code up on the screen, but I got a weird engine light code, so there's definitely something weird going on in there. I can't figure out anything else that could be a problem. Either way, it's something that is not a bad idea to go ahead and swap out, and thankfully the bolts on the tank straps are not in bad condition. This job should go well, but oh, I wonder what could be in that package there. We'll talk about that in the next episode, but right here in this top box is my new fuel pump. I got the whole sending unit and everything. I think this is the only way you can buy it, actually, is in the unit. We got the whole unit here, new gasket here, everything right here that we're gonna go ahead and swap into the tank. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get this job started. All right, so with the filler neck off, it is a lot easier to siphon out any remaining gas in it. It turns out there was quite a bit remaining, apparently, because I already filled that little 2.5 gallon can, and it's going into the 5 gallon now, and it's still pumping. So, but as you can see, I have like a really cheap little siphon pump right there, a little hand pump. Trying not to get too close to anything, because I don't want to blow anything up, but you can see right there, that is the filler neck right there, that rubber tube. It's just a tiny little 7mm worm drive clamp on it from the factory. You can see it right there again, and that right there is the filler neck on on the gas tank where it connects, and that came apart really easily. Like I was gonna pull the camera out and film it, but I literally just got in there to loosen it, grabbed onto it and wiggled it real hard, and it just came off. I was mentally prepared for gas to start spilling out, but thankfully it didn't because it was low enough. But once that gas is siphoned out, then we can go ahead and try to loosen up those bolts. But that's the trick for draining your gas. Guys, I'm so scared. That bolt is not coming out as easily as I hoped. It's coming out really hard, and I feel it getting ready to snap off. It's making me nervous wreck. So, I'm gonna take a little break. I'm gonna keep coating it with like PB Blast or WD-40 kind of stuff. And let's just say a quick prayer. Keep our fingers crossed that these bolts do not snap off. If they do, I'm gonna cry.
2,000
Yeets with the impact wrench.
later.
We did it. The bolts actually came out. They didn't break off. That was really scary, but I got to thinking about it. I remember talking about this in the comment section of the video I made when I did sway bar end links before and had the bolts break off. And this literally, it felt the same way. These were coming out the same way. They were coming out kind of hard and they kept binding up. But I remember having this conversation with you guys about how maybe using an impact gun on a bolt like that would be better, because when you're wrenching carefully, you're putting a lot of weird pressure and force on the head of that bolt. But if you use an impact, it pulls it straight out and it hammers at it, so it probably kind of helps break it loose a little too. So I went ahead and broke out the impact gun, the big boy, got it on there, and it pulled the bolts right out, as well as a little bit of coating WD-40. That always helps. So we got the bolts out, but if you guys are looking, you probably noticed that something happened in the process. You'd say it's that my exhaust is hanging. You're right. The one bolt goes in right up there in that little hole. The exhaust kind of has a way of getting in the way. So I was pulling on it, not very hard. I was just kind of like pulling on it to kind of push it out of the way so I get the wrench on. And when I was in the process of doing that, it went snap. And right back here behind the axle, the exhaust completely broke off right here, right after the clamp actually. We noticed that this metal was really thin, and I actually replaced the clamp because the old clamp had just completely destroyed itself. That's gonna need to get fixed ASAP. But you know what, right now I don't even care because tank bolts came out and they didn't break, and I was really nervous about that. Alright, and there is the beautiful tank right there. There are, I think, 3 lines in total that need to be removed before you can remove it. Once I started dropping it down on the jack and it was tipped to the side, I could see that. First thing though is there are 2 wires over here on the side, and there's these 2 wires that need to come unplugged. Recommend doing them first, because as I started dropping it down, they started to pull tight. That's when I realized, oh shoot, I don't want to break that, so I stopped it and got them unplugged before I went any further. And then from there, I think there's 3 lines. One of these is for evap system right here. That's the canister right there. Another one plugs in here. It's the same exact style. Quick connect connects here at the top of the fuel pump and the fuel sending unit. And this right here is the vent that goes up, the filler neck. That's a quick release as well. Basically how they work, if you've never seen this before, they clip over the metal line and lock in right there, as you can see. And when you press this yellow piece in, it unlocks it. So basically what I ended up doing is I used these pliers. They fit on it good enough that I could kind of get up in there, pliers on it like this, and press in on the yellow to release it, and then kind of wiggle the line off of the metal line. It's finally unplugged, and then I can completely drop the tank out. I had to pull it over to the right side of the car a little bit to get it to come out, but the whole tank came out. You can see it's really gross up in there. That's not, ooh, I'm leaking gas everywhere. That's not normally a dark color like that. I have to compare it to the new sock, but even just looking in here, there's a lot of nastiness in there, a lot of grime, a lot of stuff that shouldn't be in a gas tank. Yeah, look at that. White. Ew. Look at that. Oh, dude, that's so gross. Right, I went ahead and got our gas tank all cleaned out as well. I did it off camera because it was so incredibly cold outside, and I want to do it all outside. I don't want to have my heater cranked either. I want to to be really careful so, you know, we don't blow this whole place up. But I went ahead and did that really quick off camera. Basically, all I did was I used some of the gas that we actually pumped out of the car, dumped a little in there to kind of flush it out, and kept dumping it until I didn't see any debris in there. And I also soaked up the last little bit of old gas and any last little bits of debris up with some shop towels, the blue shop towels. It's so cold, I'm double hooding. Just flushed it out with gas itself the best I could, and I'd say we're good to go ahead and throw our new fuel pump in. That lock ring took a lot of effort to get back on, as to be expected though, but something I didn't realize is if you look here on the tank, it says gas and diesel. And the reason it says that is because on the pump, right here, there's this little lip, and that has to line up with whatever pump you're using. So I actually had that lip one over too far to the right, and I couldn't get everything to fit on there quite right, but when I moved it over to the gas slot, it started to fit together and everything went together. Just gotta be careful. Be careful when you're pounding it on, not to just, like, poke any holes in your tank. Make sure everything fits and all that fun stuff, because the last thing you want is to have infinite and annoying check engine light for evap system problems, because that is the hugest pain in the butt when you're trying to get your car inspected. So that's the only reason really why you want to be careful. You want to make sure all your lines are good while everything's apart. But it could be a lot worse.
Day 4.
Not so fast. We're almost done. So close. Just have to put that last bolt in and attach the filler neck, but then my bad luck comes back to bring us to a grinding halt. Since the last clip was filmed, how long has it been? Has it been a full day or 2 days? I don't remember. But yesterday, or whenever that last clip was filmed, I went to go put the other tank strap bolt in, and it didn't end up being that easy. I don't know if it's my fault or if it's just the rust or both. I don't know whether I started to put the bolt in and it was slightly like cross-threading or something. Didn't feel like it was, but for some reason the bolt just got stuck partway in. It would not go in any further. I kind of worked it back and forth multiple times. I kept checking to make sure that it was threading correctly and threading straight, and it seemed to be, but it just kept locking up and it would not go in. As you might be able to see here, the threads on the bolt, they look just a little bit messed up on the end, so I thought maybe it was just the bolt. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and buy a tap that is the same thread as that hole, and I'll get some new bolts, and we'll see if maybe we can clean out the threads a little. I ran around every place yesterday trying to find some place with a metric tap that was the right size, and no place had one. It was an M10 1.5, I think, but I did go ahead and get an M10 1.5 bolt, and I thought maybe it's just the threads on the bolt that are messed up. Maybe the car's okay. Kind of doubt it because we had a hard time pulling them out. Obviously, it was a little bit corroded and a little nasty in there. So I went ahead and got a new bolt, and I'm like, maybe this will save our butt. Sure enough, I went to try to thread that bolt, and I had the same exact problem. Did some more research and finally found a shop today that had a M10 1.5 thread tap in stock. It was actually a local Advanced Auto. Videos are already way behind, but now this has been delaying everything even more. I don't even have a running car of my own right now, and I have technically four cars. Well guys, thank God that tap worked and the threads seem to be pretty solid. Everything threaded in well. It torqued to the correct spec and everything. I went ahead and hooked up the filler neck, obviously. That's all I had for gas in that can. I hope that was enough. So we should be good to go ahead and prime the pump, the new pump, for the first time. And then we can go ahead and see if this thing will finally start with this new pump. God, I pray this. All right, let's prime it a few times. No any kind of leaks at all. It's running. Our gas gauge shows like literally empty, which doesn't surprise me. Oh, that's not a good sign. It's running though, and it seems to already be idling way better. I'm really surprised that our fuel gauge is still having issues, because between the running lean stuff and that gauge, I thought for sure that both would be fixed by the sending unit. It's not uncommon, not only for that to be the cause of a similar issue, but the code that it throws, it's not uncommon for that to be related to the sending unit having problems or the pump going bad. So it looks like we have to trace down some wiring issues, but I think I just decided that I'm going to do a completely separate episode on all of that stuff, because not only will it be interesting for some of you guys who might be having the same issue in the future, but it'll be entertaining chasing down wiring issues, because I mean, I've never really done that myself. I've kind of helped out with stuff like that before, but this will be interesting, and that'll be a fun video, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we got the new pump in, and I was kind of concerned about that. I didn't want the pump to die on me or anything, because you know, if the fuel pump dies, that's a bad day. But I want to try to temporarily get this exhaust that it's not hanging like that, and it's at least on the car. This is just a little section of 2.5-inch exhaust pipe. Again, it is 2.5, and the stock piping and the piping that is on this car is 2.25. But fingers crossed that this works as a nice little temporary fix. I don't know why, but I can't stop laughing at that. And how well that worked, that made me happy. That just like made up for all the crap that I've been through the past few days with this car, and the fuel gauge still not working. That was just so fun. I think my fix is leaking a tiny bit, but good enough.
It's a beat by flow.
I already heard a little crackle pop there. And just like that, we are back home after a nice little night drive back. My God, I'm so happy that this car is done. It feels way more healthy, and it's running just so much better overall now. Still a lot more to come on this, and again, we're still gonna be checking the wiring. Be sure to have your notifications on. If you haven't already, smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, then you can stay up to date on the action. And usually, for the first little while that a video is up, I have my eye on the comments, and I'm replying to you guys and giving you guys hearts and interacting with you guys more here on YouTube. So the quicker you guys get here and give the video a view and hit that thumbs up button, the better, and better it is for you guys. Most satisfying thing ever to get a car done, get it running better, and then take it out for a drive. But again, guys, thank you guys so much for the support, and thank you so much for watching this video. And again, I'm so sorry for the break-in videos, but in the next couple days, we're gonna be coming out with the next one. So be sure to stay tuned. I love you all. Thank you so much. God bless, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.